Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. Today we have the awesome Zeta with us. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm Zeta Sky. Nice to be here.
And thank you so much for coming on the show, talking about your experiences, what you've been through. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and where you're from?
Yeah, of course. So I'm an artist, producer, and live events host, originally from London. I was born in London, but raised in the West Midlands.
Awesome.
I've worked across different areas of the music and entertainment, creative sectors. I just enjoy everything from videography to sound engineering, recording engineering, live events. It gives me a zest for life. So both on and off stage. So yeah, I really love events and how art can improve people's lives and give us a little spark. So my work spans creative production, mixing, branding, performance. I love a bit of everything.
Love
And
that. It's really
yeah, I think I'm really passionate most about building spaces and feelings inside ourselves that are accessible, authentic, and representative.
I think that's lovely. And I think it's really, really important that you've got experience off the stage and on the stage. How long have you been doing this for? And how did you get into music? Was it a passion? Was it educationally? Was it, how to tell us more?
No, I ran away from music for so long.
Right.
I literally, oh, mm, as a teenager and a young adult,
Mhm.
my dad specifically thought I could not do music, that I couldn't sing, and that I could not do creative arts. Just full stop. But my mom was always telling me, try this, try that, do as much as you want to do of the arts. So yeah, I actually wanted to be an environmental engineer at first, so like mechanical engineering and environmental engineering. So I started studying with the Open University, doing like environmental science
I did
and
social science. I did social science like years and years ago now. When we got like a £500 grant for studying part-time. I think I did one of them ones.
oh, did you do it with Open Uni?
Yeah, social science. Years and years ago.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, no, they're so like accessible because you can work and study at the same time. So
Yeah,
shout out to OU.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it really helped. And what kind of insights? Obviously, you've had a very varied career and you've come from a different kind of background. So how have you infused that and what kind of skills have you brought over from doing that to now doing music?
So I never actually ended up working in STEM. I
Right?
wanted to,
Yeah.
but then what happened? I can't remember exactly. I had some difficult home situations, circumstances with health. So I moved out at 18, 19. Maybe no 18, 19. I was doing the open uni stuff, and then yeah, I had a lot of interruption in my studies, so I tried to go back and like self-fund A levels, and that was a disaster because I got scammed. And then what did I do? I tried to be a dental nurse. I think I moved out when I was like 20,
So
and I
you've got
was like, I'll just do dental nursing.
so she's got nice
I
teeth.
love teeth.
Yeah, so do
I
I.
love
And shoes. It's all about teeth and shoes, always.
the two things to pay attention to. I say that, but like I haven't like flossed today.
Victoria, you look fine, girl. You look fabulous. Honestly, we're not
But
judging.
yeah, no, I did dental nursing for a bit, and then I left very quickly because it felt like a very racist, prejudiced workplace. So your question was, what did I take over from it? But really, I ended up in customer service for quite a while until I fell off my bicycle, hit my head, had a series of unfortunate events.
Oh,
And then I just thought, you know what, I'll move back in with family and pursue the creative arts as freely and as messily as I want. And that's really just been the experience. I've taken, it's been quite a weird learning curve, because there's crossover, there's overlaps in all sectors, like transferable skills, interpersonal skills.
yeah.
But at the same time, entertainment is cutthroat and painful in a way that I don't think other industries are.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I think, once you're in an industry like that, especially the entertainment industry, you realize that actually it's not all what it seems. So how have you managed to navigate that and how have you dealt with that on a personal level especially when you've gone through so much, as an artist and as a person yourself? Do you often internalize that, or do you think it's a cultural issue, systemic? How do you see that?
I think this is unavoidable, especially with the way technology has seeped into society
Yeah,
and our practices as artists, as creatives. Our very essence of our brand is saturated with AI infiltration and algorithmic infiltration. The biggest thing we can do for ourselves is keep a mental balance as much as we can. And even though that is almost impossible, um, just checking in with yourself as frequently as possible, understanding that you are, even if you have a manager, even if you have a team around you, you are your utmost first priority, and managing and having a toolkit to refer to manage your own baseline of emotional discrepancies and returning back to that baseline calm and neutrality. That's the important thing for me. I've realized that the shifts are the most important thing for me that mess me up, whether it's, because automatically every month as women we also have like I have my hormonal cycles going all over the shop.
yeah,
I think if, let's say, I am experiencing fury or anger or depression, it's not so much about the blip. I don't care about the blip. It's about what can I do to bring myself back here.
that's the really important part, isn't it? Yeah, regulating yourself and your emotions. So, what kind of tools and techniques do you use?
Personally, I'm quite spiritually tuned in, I'd like to say. Other than maybe a spiritual person wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I am as well. And a lot of people don't think that because I'm a trans woman. They think, oh, you don't believe in anything. I actually believe I'm a very spiritualist person. I believe in the higher power, and I always have to say thanks and be grateful and do gratitude, and affirmations and all those kind of things. A lot of people wouldn't think I would do, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, do you ever use any specific like objects for grounding? Or I know some people like incense or crystals or
Crystals, yeah,
certain
crystals,
materials.
incense, yes. Crystals, incense, and music. So I use different frequencies and vibrations because I find
Yeah.
that helps and it gets me to, it cleanses as well as kind of keeps me on a thought pattern. But I also have my crystals behind me and my incense sticks are on daily. So and also nature. I think nature's a massive, important part of it too. Getting outside, having that connection with animals and the outside world is a blessing too.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed this more and more. Like we're in this concrete matrix in London. The city is just like it's like
Yeah,
something straight out of 1984, like or even,
yeah, I get you on that. And obviously you've been in the music industry for a while now. So tell us a little bit more. Do you have a team? How are you finding it? And what's coming up next for you?
So personally, I like being self-managed,
Yeah, good.
self-directed, self-learning, self-taught, all of that stuff. And I used to want to think, okay, having a team around me will be so amazing. But I've had a few little opportunities here and there, and I don't personally think I'm ready yet. Like, I don't think my work is demanding to the point that I need to be delegating. And what may happen introducing people into your team too early is that you may lose control of what's going on. So,
It's really important actually, and staying authentic and staying grounded.
yeah,
Do you find that? Because that's a massive workload. People don't realize it's not just music anymore. You've got
no.
social media, you've got business, you've got interviews, you've got photography, you've got so much going on in the background. How do you find time for yourself and to be creative in such a demanding atmosphere?
I don't sing every day, Like there are some days that go by and the only singing I do is while I'm cycling. Like I'm a weirdo going through central London going,
Still love that. Yeah, I do that in the bath or the shower or whatever, whenever I can. I get a bit peace and quiet. I think, it grounds me, but also helps
Yeah.
to maybe get some of that stuff off my chest and put that down on paper. Do you find your own experiences and your lived experience and some of the challenges you faced are now in your music and the story that you're putting out to the world?
Definitely, definitely. I've learned so much about myself through trying to navigate strategically how I want to represent myself as a brand and also sonically.
Yes.
Some of my music at the moment, the stuff that's released is more verging on fun, playful, and pop. And I've learned that that is completely fine for me to embrace that side of me because I also have some very deep, heavy friends who love to write really intense lyrics. And, the indie folk artists with the, whoa, you step in the room and it is an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And
That's
while that's beautiful, I think for myself at the moment, I find most joy making those poppy sounds and catchy rhythms. And for now, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to feel.
well done. And it's nice to hear and see. You're doing it's such a nice
Yeah.
person with such a nice personality, and honestly, you go far. But obviously,
Oh, thanks.
you've had challenges and barriers being an underrepresented woman in the music industry.
Yes.
Those challenges, what are those barriers? Tell us more about those and how
Oh,
from them.
oh my God, I'm still figuring it out. I'm 100% still figuring it out. Girl, you do not know. You do not know.
You have to be in it to see it, right? The people won't believe it if they see
I
it.
I mean, I wouldn't know what it's like as a trans
Yeah.
person, I would have no idea the challenges you face.
Mm.
So, I step in a building and I'm judged as a brown woman that looks 18 still. I think I do look kind of 18, not
You look,
25.
you look cool. Come on now, you know it.
Thank you. I have so much insecurity, People talk down.
Mm.
People talk down. People love to underestimate who you are and what your capacity is in the venue. For example, I'm always like, I've started doing sound engineering for these open mic and pub music
Um,
nights.
Female engineers, they're hard to find. So well done you. That's what I love to hear that.
Thank you. I would say though, oh my God, it's been one hell of an experience for me to like figure out how I want to represent and present myself in those spaces
Yeah.
because most, if not all, the musicians and contestants are typically men.
Okay.
There's actually fewer women going out to these pub music nights than I thought there would be. And a lot of them are of the older age range. So they see a young girl standing with all the equipment around her. And I'll be honest, like I can't always lift the heavy amps. I kind of have to sometimes ask the bartenders to help me lift the amps onto the stand.
Lifting them up anyway. Come on now. Someone should be helping it. We need that support and we need that help. And that's not just, that's physically as well, because, you need that support. You need people to also support the work that you're doing. And not just assume that, okay, she's a woman, she can do everything, because that's just totally unfair as well.
But I mean, this is the thing. Like when people say, "Oh, if you're more feminist or whatever, like you're supposed to do it all yourself." No, that's not the case. That's not the point.
Yeah.
It's not the point at all. I've been to these venues and then I'm getting people walking right past me, these contestants for the competition that I'm hosting, and thinking that they need to go and talk to the tall grey-haired man over there who's quite stocky built and commands authority with his face, but not so much his use of language. No, I'm just saying some people's attitudes need some
It absolutely does. We talk a lot about change. We talk about a lot about equity, diversity, inclusion. But have you honestly seen a real change? I know you talk about a lot about being in a male environment, especially older males. Do you think that's dominant in the music industry? And do you think that we do a lot of talking, but did you see much change?
I don't think we say it in real life. We're happy to say it on the screen. We're more than happy to share it within our own networks.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it at these venues, let's say, for example, I'm thinking to myself, what can I say in this moment where I've been completely overlooked by about six male performers who I'm supposed to be directing, hosting, and helping run the night? They're supposed to be talking to me, and instead they're talking to each other, and I'm being drowned out. So I have to literally hold the microphone instead of just talking casually to them. I have to be like,
Yeah, you
you know
got
what? And command the authority. In that moment, though, what could I possibly say that would change their perception, their outlook, or how they would hold themselves or conduct themselves? That is a really tough position to be in. And I understand and I appreciate that because I've been in these venues before where I've started to say something, but then at the end of the day, like I'm in a venue surrounded by maybe 20, 30 people who feel the same way. Like, oh, that's a girl, maybe she's a presenter, she doesn't know anything about the sound desk, like, it's possible.
Everything, we don't know everything, and I think that's another thing. There's a lot of judgment and maybe maybe a built-in bias that because
Yeah.
you're doing a certain thing, you should know everything. And I think
Yeah.
it's so unfair because it takes time. You need experience. You also need support along that path, right?
I would say though, I think there's definitely a change with the younger generations.
Brilliant.
So I think honestly, the friendliest people at these venues have been in their 20s and 30s to
Yeah,
me,
formally.
especially the males. Yeah.
Yeah.
Females as well, of course, when they are around. But I'll be real, like a lot of these venues, sometimes as people get rowdier and they get drunk, it's a tough place to be in. It depends venue to venue, it varies.
Right. Yeah.
But there's definitely, I think younger people, I think we are opening up and noticing and trying to be kind and lovely to each other. I'd say it might be a generationally like affected thing, sadly, ingrained through society and media for, people, I'd say 40s plus. I've just noticed that kind of, I don't like to categorize, but it's just
True.
obvious.
I think so. And if you see something and you want to speak up, sometimes are you scared of speaking up or actually, shining a light on some of these systemic issues and failures? Because I've been in that situation myself. You've been given a position, you're trying to get somewhere, you're trying to change, you're trying to make a positive change. But if you say something that's too much or people don't get, are you ever afraid that if you do speak up, you might get cancelled? Or if you do speak up, no one's going to want to know you again? That kind of stuff. Do you have to deal with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Hard,
And
isn't
I have a small audience as well, I have less than 2,000 followers on Instagram, which means most of my posts don't get shown to not even 800 people each time, all my stories get shown mostly 100 views and less. And I say this because when it comes to saying something that is potentially controversial, it would be nice to already have an initial fan base, even 5 to 10 people, who regularly already think and understand your brain and what you want to say to the world, just so that you don't just immediately get an influx of negativity towards you. Because if I look after my own self and my own brain and my headspace, I don't feel like sufficiently supported by my own fan base community yet that I could just say whatever is really on my mind and that I would receive mostly like peaceful response from enough to keep me all right alongside the not very peaceful responses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course they do. You've got to try and keep that in that back.
Yeah. That
Maybe
doesn't mean I don't say anything. I do say sometimes, but I'm very careful. I'm a bit picky with how I present it. But yeah, how do you feel with because I know you've got quite a few thousand
I
followers
think
across
I think I've got 40,000 followers now. I get 20,000 listeners a month on just my Spotify alone. But I think on my socials, it's about 40,000 followers. So it's pretty impressive. However, I think it's taken me about 5 years to build that. And that's just been authentic. It's all been organic. It's not been paid for. It's all just gone off its own kind of stuff. I've not paid for any promotion. I've not had any support with it. It's just been from my heart and my soul. And I think people really resonate with that. I think that's really helped me. It's just speaking my truth and being myself, and I think people just feel inspired. And for me, it's about being myself, but trying to support the next generation as well, because it's not all about me. It's about
Mm,
others and it's about community. And I've
mm.
really been passionate about community and grassroots because I think without them, like your fans, you can't go anywhere. So just connecting with them and being a voice for them as well, and listening to them supports me.
I mean, I would rather have a smaller community who know me
Yeah.
and are actually thinking on the same wavelengths than, a few more thousand people who are just there for like the look I have or the sound, but not really understanding the meaning.
Mm.
And so do you ever feel, I'm just curious, like, do you ever hesitate, like when you have something more
Always.
activist? Yeah.
I'm a Libra, and I think for me, I find it quite indecisive at times to make a solid decision. Because sometimes I'm like, I should do this, and then I think
Mm,
to myself, well, should I, shouldn't I? Shall I, shan't I? And then I'll sit there and I'll ponder on over it. And instead of just doing it, I'll sit there and think about it, contemplate it, and I'll probably change my mind when really I
Yeah.
should have gone with it in the first place. And I think, yeah, I am hesitant. For me personally, I've not had anyone say keep going or well done. My parents haven't been supportive. I was told music will never make you a career. Music will not pay the bills. I don't have a team. I don't have any finance or funding. I've never had any funding or anything. Everything I've actually done is off my own back, from connections, from networks, and from friends. But it can be done, right? Thank you so much. But it just goes to show that it's not always about how much people are willing to support you. How are you willing to support yourself? What are you going to do for yourself? And I think that's the
And
key.
actually, this is psychologically speaking, this is my learning curve at the moment. Like this is what I'm realizing. I've had a few people say to me recently and remind me of that exact concept. Like, what would you advise to me? Because I think I don't like to say this explicitly, but I do think I seek approval. Like I
Of
probably,
course, I do
but
as well.
probably based off, parental trauma and things like that.
Unfortunately, I do.
I always wanted my dad to say to me, "You've got this. You can do this. You sound good. You are talented. You have this in you." I'm not going to get that from him consistently, at least not. And sometimes he changes how he feels, and then I get even worse because it's so
Just like my mom, that is. Sorry to say that, but sorry,
oh,
mom. My mom's just the same. She can be quite critical as well, and I don't think sometimes she understands. When you're not in an industry like we're in, unless you're in it, it's very difficult to understand. And I find this is the problem I have with my friends and people in music. They're my friends, but they don't know what the music industry is like. So they can't
mm,
support me, they can't offer me the guidance. They don't really know what to say because, like, okay, that sounds cool, but I don't know what I would do. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's a whole nother world. And it's like you've got these two worlds, and the more you're in one world, you're drifting away from the other world. And it's trying to keep that balance because I'm about balance always, but it's tricky. It can be really hard.
do you get the confirmation from your friends that
From
you are?
from my immediate family, from my children, especially my children, they really support me. They give me that fuel in my fire. But also not just that, it's what I've been through in my life. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be. Look, I know there's some bad things that have happened, but I'm a survivor. I'm not a victim. And I think for me, it's about trying to turn some of that negativity, that darkness into light. And how can I do that in a creative way? So for me, it's about expressing a story, myself, the way I feel, but also the story I want to put it out to the world. But I want it to be positive. It could be really, really dark, but I don't want that because that's not what kept me going. It was the hope
Yeah,
and the positivity that keeps me going. So I think for me, that's why I want to shine a light on is that I know we've all gone through bad things, but regardless of whatever we've been through, we can still do it. Any of us can. It's about believing in yourself and just following your heart.
yeah, definitely. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I didn't write it down. It just comes from my heart again. And I think, I'm sure you resonate with that. And I just I just hope to inspire the next generation and make people feel welcome. I've
Yeah,
seen events before, and every time I see someone that's just on the sidelines or just walking around, I always go up and say hi. I would
yeah.
hate someone to feel left out or on the
I
side.
remember how you made me feel on that event because I was like feeling in a bit of an exhausted, like, yeah, a really heavy place. And I really appreciated you coming. And sometimes that's what's needed, you know. You can be the light for someone else, even if you're questioning your own light in that moment, you can still potentially lift someone up hugely. You lifted me up so much that day we met.
That's why I love what I do, to be honest, because I love people. I'm a people person. But I've also got a skill in music, and I love music and I love what I do. But how can I make that an income? How can I make that something I can live off and pay my bills? I
Mm,
think that's the struggle for me is okay, you're good at these things, but now how do you turn that into money, and how can you survive and thrive in that environment if you're not getting money? Because everything I do is free. I've not been paid for anything ever. At
mm,
this moment in time, I'm still building my confidence, but I'm building a fan base. And I know it's give and take, but you're like, this is a little bit like, okay, how much more have I got to do? How much more
yeah,
have I got to give before I can get something back? And I do
yeah.
worry, am I doing the right thing? Is it good enough? And I'm sure you've often feel the same with your music. Is it good enough? It could be better. I could do more. But then you end up questioning yourself again and again.
I think it's the hesitancy that will do us wrong, you know. We just need to just quit hesitating and just throw it out there as soon as like, I mean, of course, like, yeah, good quality content as much as we can, but just don't doubt yourself because you've got it in you.
It's in my heart, yeah, I do. But I think sometimes we base our work on a value, and I think sometimes that can be a struggle too. Like, I know you're an artist. How do you find making an income or a living from your music? How have you found that? How have you capitalized on your art and
You
making?
have to diversify. You definitely have to diversify. And don't be ashamed if you have to take little like pub work here or, waitressing or events work. Do whatever you need to do. Like I did pet sitting. And then I've become a brand ambassador so I can pick and choose shifts across the month. Um, the work isn't consistent. So obviously you need to like look across all your skill sets and say, how can I make money off it? And don't put yourself down just because you have to lean like for 4 months in a row on your side job, like or your part-time job for regular income. That's okay. Like don't be hard on yourself.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? Sometimes they're like, it's just not good enough, or it's just not worth any money, or it's just not going to do it. And I think that's me, a little bit of that. So I need to tone that down a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, because as well the mental capacity, the space, your bandwidth, you don't have like unlimited bandwidth to be stressing most of the month about how to make it work financially just for music in that to pay your bills. So then I think, and I leveraged credit and I'm still working my way through that and that situation. And I think the smartest thing I've done is trust my gut as well, to trust myself and say, okay, because sometimes the reward is greater than the financial risk. So if you need to make it work and pay £20 to go to an event, pay an extra £10 for a drink, £10 for travel,
You know it
but
costs.
to work your way around that room or to meet those people or to be in the spotlight in the right place at the right time, you cannot underestimate the power of that. Like there's so many things that I did last year that I think I would still be in a very low place, like a very depressed place if I hadn't, you know,
Yeah.
challenged myself, even though if on paper and to everybody around me, I was like, well, what are you doing? You should just get a full-time job. But actually, this year now, I'm seeing the benefits, and I've got people asking me, how do you get that? Or how do you know this person? And I'm just like, well, last year, the behind the scenes work,
The
you've got
network.
to take the risk sometimes. If you weigh everything up, obviously don't be like, you don't need to get mad, but like at the same time, if you look at your finances and you can just about make it work,
And
if
that's,
it's just a bit risky, sometimes it's worth it.
yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. And tell us a little bit more about the networking, because that's how we met. Like, I think it's really important to get out there and meet new people, but to also let people know what you're up to. So, how have you found the networking side of it? And do you think it's benefited your career?
Course, yeah. I can't do anything alone. Everything I've learned from someone or read somewhere or met somebody and they've advised me about using one application or a different approach to what I'm currently doing. Just like the other day, I was sat on the sofa in Cube and with my friend, and they were just saying like, well, how come you're editing like this on CapCut? You can do this. And they just like showed me a shortcut. And I was like, oh, like it's just like as well. But also the biggest thing I've learned is look at who you already know because you probably have like, I mean, I follow like 2,000 people plus now on Instagram. Like I've done crazy networking in the last year. I think I need to like literally just go through again and make sure, hey, who's this person from? Like, I'm sure this person said about this, like follow up.
That's a very good idea because I've not done that in a long time. And someone else was telling me to do a spreadsheet of all my contacts.
I,
So,
you know what I was thinking that, yeah.
you know how long that's going to take me though? And then I'll break it down into promoters, live music, engineers, producers. That's going to take me forever to do. But do you know what? It's so worth doing because I forget who's in my contacts half the time. Not in a bad way, but I've just not looked over it for a long time. So that's a really important point you make. Thank you.
Of course. And I think this is again like as much as you can automate everything. And then you have more capacity to do the important stuff or to do the fun stuff like the socializing. Like if you can automate a set of like approaches or responsibilities in your social calendar or even like just on your Google Calendar, making sure you've got blocks of time that are crucial to like identifiably, like,
Cool. And if
I'm just
anyone,
seeing there's a time left thing on the
yeah,
corner,
there
by the
is,
way.
it's only on 40 because we do the freebies over here. We can't afford we don't everything we do is free, everything we do is a freebie, so we've only got a certain amount of time. So I was going to say to you, if anyone wants to connect with you, find out more about your music, what you do, how could the listeners do that?
Yeah, you can drop me an email the old-fashioned way. Write me a message, or you can reach out to me on social media. So my email is zetaskymmusic@outlook.com.
Okay.
And my social media handles are at Zeta_Sky. So yeah, I mean, I think networking, you know what? Also, don't be afraid to reach out to people who you think are too far out your league, because people actually can recognize those who are early on in their journey and they want to help, and we want to help each other. So it doesn't matter where you are, there's people behind you, there's people in front of you. And if you're a good person, if they see the message and they actually have time and capacity, if they're a good person, they will respond. And if they don't respond, just assume that, there wasn't anything ill intention behind that.
There's some good people out there, I tell you, I've met loads of them. Yeah, and I'm so glad we've met as well. So tell us, have you got any more major wins or successes you want to share with us before we go? We've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Oh my God.
I love
So
it.
I'm working on hyperpop at the moment, Taz.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been making like hyperpop and drum and bass stuff. And I've started producing, but more importantly, I've been finishing up songs that I've made to like BeatStars beats.
Oh,
But they're so fun. I've got these like little vocal glitches and things going on, and I'm like, dude, I wrote that, yes.
yeah, that's what I say. Well done. And I tell you what, I've got this new project coming up. Love to collaborate. I'm looking for some dance tracks. I've written some pop ballads, but I want to turn a few of them into a bit of a tropical dancey, like some tracks. So I'm going to send a couple your way. Love to,
Mm.
and let's see if we can collaborate, because again, it's all about collaborations and supporting other communities. So I'm all about that, as you know. We are diverse, we're inclusive, and we're representative. And I just want to say thanks again for sharing your inspiration, your light, your energy. It's always nice to speak to you, and I can't wait to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me as a guest.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Honestly, it's a real pleasure, and thank you again. And we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Bye.